Hello, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the ABAP ritual session where we are learning the very important questions of the interview, which are going to be frequently asked. So, our main focus on the very frequently asked question from the different SAP technical modules like ABAP, OOPS ABAP, ABAP on HANA, ALE iDocs, OData, or workflow. So, currently, we are here in the Oops ABAP section. We have already completed ABAP. Most of the videos I have uploaded on the YouTube. This Oops ABAP, some of the video I will upload, and some of the video, like all the video I will be uploading on the Udemy. So if someone is willing to have the recorded session, they can get from the Udemy. On Udemy, it's a very like a reasonable price, 200 or 300, something like that. It will be there. They can get. Otherwise, for free, they will have to attend the live session. Fine. So now let's have a quick recap of our last class. That means from the last session and what we have learned over there. We will just revise in just 2 or 3 minutes and then we will go ahead. We have seen what is cleanup block. So whenever one program is going to be at the end, at that time, when the object life cycle is going to be at end, that cleanup block at last is going to be called. That's the use of cleanup to free the external internal resources like memory and etc, right? Different types of object services, persistent services, transactional services, and query services. We have seen about the persistent services in detail. Okay, from interview point of view, this is important. So we have seen this one. Persistent services in OOPS ABAP is achieved with the help of persistent class. To create a persistent class, we go to SE24 and we give their name of the persistent class and we click on the create button. Multiple radio button comes from that. Instead of normal class, we have to choose the you know persistent class. And once you choose the persistent class and you create the persistent class and activate, two another classes like base class and actor class gets generated. Base class is an abstract class, actor class is the agent class, and actor class is inheriting from the base class. Actor class is actual doer class. This is going to update the data into the database, right? So and this agent class is also known as a broker class. It is like a broker. Okay, this is like a broker which is communicating between the actual program and the database. Okay, so it is the middleman between the actor class and the program. So that's the persistent class. And then we have seen about the singleton design pattern. It's a very important frequently asked question. Okay, so whichever the frequently asked question is there, I'm just marking over there. That should be your first priority and other thing should be your second priority. We have seen some example of the singleton design pattern, right? So this is a logger class, right? And we have seen also for the login class by taking the example of Flipkart in our previous session, right? And hope you understood. Now, this is one more example for the singleton design pattern, right? This I have discussed in very much detail all about these all examples in very much detail in my Oops ABAP video course. You can go for that and you can subscribe. All these concepts are very well explained over there. Today we will start with new set of design pattern. We will not go very deep inside, but sometimes in interview they ask the question, tell me some of the design pattern. So when they are going to ask such kind of question that tell me some of the design pattern, if we are going to simply tell about the singleton design pattern, which is only one design pattern, right? it will not suffice the purpose. It will not be a valid answer. So we'll have to tell some 5 or 6 design pattern at least to have the good impression over the interviewer. Interviewer should know that yes, this person is having concept about the design pattern, and if it requires to learn more design pattern, he can learn. So what we will do, that we will understand the basics of different design pattern, just basic. I will not go deep inside. If you want to learn in deep inside, you will have to go to the course. Here it is not required. From interview point of view, this much is sufficient. But yes, of course, if you want to learn in deep and if you want to be master in Oops ABAP, you will have to go for that course. Fine. Now let's start. Another very important design pattern is the factory design pattern, right? So what is this factory design pattern? You must have seen CL underscore Salvi underscore table class, which is used to display the ALV. There, when we have to create the object, what we do? We use CL underscore Salvi underscore table, right? And then the factory method of this class in order to get the object of CL underscore Salvi underscore table class, right? So that is one very good example of factory design pattern. If interviewer is going to ask, give one example of factory design pattern, you can tell CL underscore Salvi underscore table is one of the very frequently asked class where we are going to use the factory method of that class in order to have the object of that class. So factory design pattern, right? Factory design pattern is used to produce the object on demand, right? So in program, if you require sometimes a object of a class, then you are going to use the factory design pattern. Okay, so this is what I have written over here. This comes under the category of creational design pattern, and it is used to hide the complexity of object creation and produces the object on demand. So whenever you have to create the object using the if, else, or several, applying several validation, right? Then we can go for factory design pattern. It will help you to minimize the complexity of creation of the object. Okay, that's the factory design pattern. It comes under the creational design pattern. What is creational design pattern? Actually, all the design patterns have been categorized into three different, you know, category. So what are those three different category? One is creational design pattern. Another is, a structural design pattern, right? And there is one more who will tell. Okay, who will tell what are those three design patterns? Just write here in the chat box the name of three design pattern. Okay, one is creational, one is structural, and there is one more who will tell. No, MBC is a, MBC, no, not the abstract. We have mainly three types of design pattern, means all the design pattern have been categorized into three different, you know all the design pattern have been categorized into three different category. One is creational, another is structural, and one more is there that you will have to tell. One more is there, that is behavioral. Okay, that is behavioral. So here you can see that here I have written over here, design pattern is, categorized into three different category: creational, structural, and behavioral. Okay, so whatever the singleton, factory, all this comes under the creational design pattern, right? Because we are going to create the object, right? So when you are going to produce something, when you are going to create something, okay, when you are going to create, focus over here on the create word. So create is related with creational. What you are going to create? You are going to create object using the design pattern: singleton, factory, singleton factory, object pool, prototype, abstract factory. These all are the design pattern used to create the object, used to produce the object. That's why its name is creational design pattern. What is a structural design pattern? Focus on the word structural. Okay, lexical meaning is very important. लेक्सिकल शाब्दिक अर्थ हमेशा ही महत्वपूर्ण होता है. स्ट्रक्चरल डिजाइन पैटर्न, structural, focus on this word structural. That means if you are going to change the structure of complete design, you are going to achieve something dynamic. Okay, you are going to achieve something useful. Okay, so if you're going to change the structure of a class or a structure of a design, right, it's going to be useful. For example, you must have used many times a wrapper function module, right? You must have used a wrapper program, right? You would have created one parent program. Inside you would have called your child program using the submit statement, right? And if you have to create some, if you have to create some function module which is having the specific functionality, right, and that specific functionality you can achieve by adding some more functionality in existing function module. So what you will do, you will create one wrapper function module, right? So what you are doing over here, you are changing the structure, right? You are changing the structure. So when you are changing the structure, when you are doing something with a structure in terms of design, that comes under the structural design pattern. See here, adapter design pattern, right? So adapter design pattern is nothing but the wrapper class, the wrapper method, the wrapper function module, the wrapper program, right? Whatever you create, that all comes under the adapter design pattern, right? Knowingly or unknowingly, we use a lot design pattern in our day-to-day development, right? So sometimes we know the terms, sometimes we don't know the terms. So if you just know the terms, you will understand what kind of design pattern knowingly or unknowingly you are using. And sometimes we don't even use any kind of a specific, we create our own design pattern, right? But if you know, if you don't, if you are having the concept of design pattern, the benefit of that will be, you will be able to choose the correct design pattern, and hence your code is going to be more effective, more reusable, more maintainable, right? That's the benefit. And of course in your team you will be having the good competency, right? You'll be having the good visibility among your managers, right? Here, behavioral design pattern. What is this behavioral design pattern? See, behavioral design pattern focus on the word behavior. Behavior means what? Functionality. Behavior means what? Behavior is nothing but functionality. So behavior stands for functionality. So you are going to do something in terms of functionality, right? Either you are going to break down the functionality into different, you know into different function, right? Or you are going to manipulate your behavior in such a way in the method that its actual intent will be same, but it will suffice the broader aspect of the requirement. So there comes the behavioral design pattern. There are many design patterns comes under the category of behavioral design pattern: interpreter, iterator design pattern, mediator, observer, visitor, command, state design. These are very tricky design pattern and not very easy to understand. You require a lot of effort, lot of dedication, lot of experience to use it effectively, right? The most easiest one is this, the which comes under the creational and the structural, right? These are the very easy. This requires a lot of effort in order to understand. Okay, we'll be having some of the design pattern just from the interview point of view, some basic idea, so you will be feeling comfortable while giving the interview. Okay, so one we have already seen, singleton design pattern. Another, let's have the MVC. It again comes under the structural design pattern. See, this MVC comes under the structural. So here you are going to change the structure, right? So this will come under the structural design pattern. Here I have not written, I have just included. MVC comes under the structural design pattern. So what we are going to do inside the MVC, inside the MVC, you are going to modularize, okay, your behavior under the controller, your interface, right, your UI experience in a different segment, and your data part under the model sequence. So if you are already, if you have already gone through some courses of SAP UI5, or if you have been doing the work in SAP UI5 Fury or Spring, right, hibernates and all, Java Spring, right, Java hibernates and all. So all these are developed based on the MVC design pattern. M stands for model, V stands for view, C stands for controller. Model means data. Whenever model comes into the picture, you resonate with data. Model is nothing but data. View means user experience, user design, user interface. C means controller. Controller means the logic where you are going to process your data. Okay. So model is your data, view is your interface, and controller is your actual logic. So any requirement, if you are going to have, you are going to split into three parts. Okay. So we are going to create one class which is going to stand for model, means just for data processing, to fetch the data and all, right? Model. View, just to display the data. So suppose if you have to display one ALV, so we're going to create one class which is going to display the output in form of ALV format, right? Or if you want to display the output in the normal, normal way, in the simple classical way, if you want to display without using the ALV and all, so you can create one class called view. There you can create the different method. One method is for displaying in form of ALV, another method in form of displaying the, in a usual way, in the normal way, in the procedural way, right, in the classical way. So, and another method you can use for the different purpose, like in the module pool programming way, right? So different one view class you can create, and different method you can create in order to display in a different way, right? So one class is dedicated for displaying the view, one class is dedicated to fetch the data based upon your requirement, right? And controller, one class is to one class having different method based on, right, your actual requirement, how you want to process the data, all combinedly together known as the MVC. So just tell this much. If you are able to tell this much, I think your interviewer will be more than happy. Now, proxy design pattern. Okay, before going ahead to the proxy, just tell me here in the chat box, is it clear for you, this MVC design pattern and the three types of design pattern over here? Just write over here, super clear, if it is clear in the chat box. And then we will go ahead for the proxy design pattern. Or if it is not, just let me know, so that again, I will try to explain with my label based. Okay. So her case has given, for other people, is it not clear? Shall I go ahead, means once again, and and do it? So tell me, right, yes or no, then only I will be able to take the action, right? Okay, fine, thank you. So let's go ahead, and we will see now the proxy design pattern, right? What is proxy design pattern? So see, my way of teaching is like, I take the word and I try to explain the word, because everything there in the word itself. If you are able to understand the word, you are able to understand the concept. Everything is given over here. See, proxy design pattern. This is a design pattern, but the name of the design pattern is the proxy design pattern. This comes under the which design pattern. So what I will do, that first I will explain this proxy design pattern, and once you understand the proxy design pattern overview, I will ask to you, it will fall under which design pattern, right? So let's try to understand the proxy design pattern. See, proxy design pattern, what happens that sometimes you will be having a very heavy class, means very big class. Big class means if you have some Excel object, you will be having some Outlook object, right? So whenever you have some Excel object, whenever you will be having some Outlook object, which is a non-SAP object. In SAP also, you can have your class where a very big class means when you are going to instantiate those class, it will occupy large memory. It will occupy so much memory that you cannot imagine. And it will take lot of resources of the system, memory, right, processor, so many things. It will take lot of resources of the system. Then what is the solution, right? Then what is the solution? But before that, we have to understand the problem, main problem first. So one, the very big problem over here, suppose if you have very heavy class, right? If you have very heavy class, right? Very heavy class, sorry. So it can be Excel, Outlook object, right? Or it can be your SAP heavy class, SAP heavy class, right? So having this heavy class is not a problem actually, right? When the problem comes, the problem will come when you are going to instantiate this class, and later you realize that instantiation is not going to make sense, right? You have instantiated this class, Excel class or Outlook class or some of the very heavy class you have just instantiated, and later you realized due to some data validation, you have to again come back from that class. Then unnecessarily you have instantiated this heavy class, right? Unnecessarily you have instantiated because it got failed at the time of data validation itself. Actual processing didn't take place, right? So unnecessarily, why to instantiate any class if it is not required, right? So this is the actual problem. Why to instantiate unnecessary? So here proxy comes into the picture. What we do that, we create a proxy of that big class, okay? Proxy means image, right? Proxy is nothing but a kind of image. What we do when we go to sometimes when we don't go to a school or college, right? However, I have not done these particular things in my life, but this can be one good example. Sometimes people do that, mark my attendance instead of me, do the proxy for me, right? I have not gone to school or college, but I'm asking to my friend to do the attendance of behalf of me, to do the proxy on behalf of me. What will happen over here, right? I'm not actually present, but instead of me, he is doing my work. Similarly, what I will do that, I'm having the big class. In the big class, somewhere will be their validation, right? And somewhere will be their actual processing logic, correct? So what I will do that, I will create a image of that class where I will remove the actual processing logic. I will just keep the validation. And once I need to require to create the heavy class object, what I will do first, that I will first create the object of the proxy class and check whether the requirement or the data which I'm going to supply to the final class, right? I will first supply to the proxy class and just validate whether it is valid or not. If it is valid, that means it is going to make sense to create the bigger class object, right? It is going to make sense, the bigger class object. Then go and just instantiate, right? So we'll create a proxy class, and there we will be having the validation logic, and that validation logic, if it is going to be successful, then go to the next step, and then you know then you create the bigger class object. How to achieve this? We can achieve this by following some certain steps that I have discussed in my course. You can go and learn from there. Here it is not required. Just understand this much. Your interviewer will be more than happy. Okay. Now my question to you, whatever you understood from here, what your heart, what your gut feeling is telling that it will come under which design pattern, under category of which design pattern? I've just explained this one, right? Just try to give your answer. It will come under which design pattern. It will come under category of which design pattern. We are having three: creational, structural, and behavioral. So what we are going to do, are we going to, yeah, awesome. So it will come under the structural design pattern. We are going to change the structure, right? We are just doing some manipulation with the structure, right? So here you can see that it is there, proxy and MVC here at last we are having, right? Fine. Now this proxy is done. You can go through these points, the same what I have explained. And this is how, with the help of, see here how powerful interface is. With the help of everywhere in all the design pattern, you will be able to see the magic of interface. Without concept of interface, none of the design pattern was, means it's not, you were not able to achieve the uh, design pattern. Interface is very powerful. Interface and abstract class. Okay. Either you'll have to use abstract class over here or interface in order to achieve the proxy design pattern, right? So either you can use the interface or abstract design pattern. Okay. So most of the time, either you'll have to use abstract or interface. Both is fine, because with the help of both, you can achieve the polymorphism and you can aggregate the functionality, right? Now here generally proxy design pattern is used in the, okay, fine, it is the same, right? Leave it. Adapter design pattern. Okay. Adapter design pattern, say focus on the word adapter, right? Focus on the word adapter. So if you understand the adapter, you will be able to understand the adapter design pattern as well, right? So adapter is nothing but a wrapper, right? Whenever you want to make something compatible, what you do, you wrap inside the wrapper function module, or you wrap inside the wrapper program, right? So based upon your requirement, you just wrap it and you make it adaptable to the outer world. Okay. You just wrap it and make it adaptable to the outer world. That's what we are having, the several adapters when we are going to charge our mobile, right? Without adapter, it is not possible, because charger need to be adapted with the socket, right? And for that purpose, we require adapter. So adapter design pattern, that is the adapter design pattern. And here also you will see the magic of, here, see here, interface everywhere in all the design pattern. That is possible with the help of interface only. Okay. So adapter is one which is going to, make which is helping you to adapt, and adaptive is one which is inside. So for example, if you function module, you are going to wrap inside another function module. So the first function module will be known as the adaptive. Okay. And the second function module will be known as the adapter. Okay. And that you can call inside a programmer. So whenever you see the caller, right, that means we are calling this particular, complete implementation from the program. Caller means program. Okay. Caller means program. Here also caller means program, means I'm calling this particular, implementation in program. I'm calling this proxy design pattern in my program. So wherever you see the caller, that means program. I'm implementing this design pattern in my program. Facade design pattern, one of the very important design pattern, that is the facade design pattern. Very, very useful design pattern and very widely used. Okay. Knowingly or unknowingly, we use a lot this facade design pattern, right? Facade is a French word meaning face or frontage, right? Facade is a French, word. Its meaning is face or frontage. See what happens in the facade design pattern. That suppose if you have a big requirement, right? Suppose if you have a complex requirement. So what you are going to do that if your team has decided to implement this big requirement and everybody is going to use that requirement, so what they will do that they will put those requirement in a function module or in a method here. Because we are talking about the object oriented, let's talk in terms of object oriented way, right? So what we will do that we will put those requirement in a method, in a simple interface of the method. So method, what we will do that we will define a method with import parameter, export parameter, changing parameter, return parameter in such a way that, right, calling of this method become simple. And whatever the logic, whatever the complex functionality you have, you are going to put inside that method. Okay, you are going to put inside that method. So what you will have to do, you are going to hide, right? So if we if this particular, these particular things we do a lot in our project, in real time project. I'm going to tell you one real time example which we have been using very much. What we have to do that, we had to do in our project that we had to display the message in different languages. Suppose one message is available in English, then suppose one message is available in their native language of the user, it will display in the native language. If it is not available in the native language, then it has to check whether it is available in English language. If it is available in English language, display in English. If it is not available in English, also display the message in their native language that this message, there is no message, like no message defined or something like that. If that message is not available or some means there is no meaningful message. So the overall requirement over here was, if the message is available in, let us suppose, if German user is going to log in into the system, right? So if the message is available in the German language, then display the message in German language. Or if it is not available in German language, then display the second priority, it will go to the, you know uh, English language. Okay, and then if it is not present in English language also, then display that message in whatever language it is present. And if it is not present in whatever language also, then it will not be able to display anything. And if it is not able to display anything, then just write that message in that no message is available for this particular scenario in English language. So this is a, right, this is a generic requirement which every developer has to use, right? So in a team meeting we decided that we have to create this, you know in form of a method where we are going to implement this logic, right? And this method is going to be called by every developer. So what we are going to do, instead of every developer creating their own method or their own functionality for message handling, we as a team decided to create a method, and that method is going to be used by all the team members. So what we did over here, we create one phase, we create one interface, one simple interface, right? Just we create a method definition, and inside logic was written by someone, some expert developer or some experienced developer. They have written the logic, and other, the fresher and all, they are just going to use that method. They are just going to call that method. They are just going to call the frontage or the face of the method, and that method is going to return the actual, result, actual message. So this is actually the facade design pattern. The use of facade design pattern is this facade, just to simplify the things, just to simplify the complexity of a requirement. Okay, so here's some example. You can see over here that, here you have what, you have the motherboard, all these things, the complex logic and all, right? But there are, if you have the facade interface, so some here, different port here is giving. Just you will have to use those port. You don't have to bother how the actual implementation in the motherboard have been done, right? So, and here you can see that this is also one example of facade design pattern. I have taken it from the sapignite.com. And here you can see that when you are going to run your television, right, in backend there are so many things, but just you are interacting with the front edge, right? You are interacting with the face. Television, television is having some button, some scrollable button, just we do right left, right? We have some remote, so just we are using the simple front edge, and in back end all the implementation is done. So this is one example of the facade. One very good example over here which came in my mind, right? Google, right? In backend there are so many things, so many logic, so many things, but in front edge how beautifully it is designed, so simple, anyone can use, right? Even my 60 years old father is able to use the Google due to its simplicity, right? Anyone can use, even a you know uh, any person can use. So this is possible with the help of facade design pattern. Template design pattern. What is this template design pattern? Template is nothing but suppose some common functionalities are there in the different classes, right? So what you will do that you will take the common functionality from both the classes, right, and you will put into the interface, and that interface you are going to inherit into abstract class, and that abstract class you can put into you can inherit in this class A and class B, right? So benefit of this template design pattern, what it is going to be, the simplified design. Unnecessarily you are not going to define the same method two places. So the whatever common method in class A and class B you have, you are going to put into the abstract class. You can remove this interface if you want. By this way also you can achieve the template design pattern using the abstract class, okay? Or by simply by removing this class, by removing this class, and just by using this interface also we can achieve the template design pattern, right? Just we have to put the common method into the interface, or we have to put the common method into the abstract class, or with the help of both also we can achieve, right? With the help of both also we can achieve. We can put all the methods into the interface. That interface we can use inside the abstract class, right? And if some method which is really need to be implemented, we will implement in abstract class, and that we can use over here in class A, class B. So in all the way it is possible. So in a summarized way, the template design pattern, just you are going to create a template where reusable method you are going to put into one place, either it is abstract class or interface, or using both. It all depends on you. All right. So that is a template design pattern. Here's some example of the template design pattern. You can see that here one interface is created. So here the requirement, I'll just tell you the requirement. Here you have the abstract class ZCL underscore vehicle, car, truck, and plane, right? This is the concrete object, concrete class. This is inheriting from the ZCL underscore vehicle, and all the vehicle functionality we are going to put inside the interface. So whatever the common functionality, for example, run, these all are going to run, right? So that we can put inside the run, right, over here. And run, all the running, the way how it is going to run is going to the same, right? So that we can define under the abstract class run method, because the implementation is going to be same for all these three, right? Accelerate, the way all these three is going to accelerate will be different, right? It is having uh, uh, a low acceleration capacity, or maybe high, right? The way of acceleration, uh, the the way it's going to be accelerated, right, going to be different. So what we will do that accelerate will put in this abstract class, and here we will redefine. We will not implement here, right, but we will redefine over here. So whatever the common functionality we have, just we can put it over here. Suppose if you want to mark get color and set color, right? So get color and set color, it will require for every class, so we can put right here, here in interface get color and set color, and here we can implement that one, right? because the way the doing the color and all, it's going to be the same. So this is the meaning of the template design pattern. And then the decorator design pattern. What is decorator, right? What is decorator? Decorator means you are going to decorate something based on your requirement. You are going to decorate something based upon your requirement, right? That means you are going to redefine the method based on your requirement. You have the existing method in some class, right? You are going to inherit those class and you are going to redefine. So based on your requirements means you are decorating based upon your requirements. So this is what we have. This is the basic concept of the decorator design pattern. Just go through this, you will be able to understand in better way. But that is the main purpose of the decorator design pattern. Here also you have some more example. You can go through here. And observer design pattern. What is this observer design pattern? Focus on the word observer. Observer means one who observes, right? One who observes. For example, for example, what we have, you know, what we have that whenever we have to get up in morning, we put the alarm clock at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, right? Or 6 o'clock, whatever. So the mobile program keep on observing the time, and whenever that particular time reaches, right, it will start alarming. Correct, it will start alarming. So that is possible with the help of observer design pattern. Another example, another one very good example over here, it is, right, you have a weather station. This is very popular on the internet. If you search for the observer design pattern, you will see at many places this observer design pattern. This example. So suppose if you have a weather station, right, and whenever there are any change in the weather, that weather station is going to propagate the message to the different devices, tablet device, computer device, the mobile device, whichever is connected with this weather station, right? On all those devices, the information message is going to be propagated, right? On all those devices, information message is going to be propagated. So whenever there is any change in the environment, in the weather, that is going to be received by weather station. And once weather station receives the changes, it will propagate the message. So how weather station is receiving the changes? Because it keep on observing, keep on observing the weather, keep on observing the weather. And whenever it finds any changes, it will just propagate to the different country, to the different devices, to the different people, right? It will just propagate that message. So that's the meaning of observer design pattern. Here it is there in the, so here some real-time example I have explained there. So now the composite design pattern. This also comes under the structural design pattern. There are so many. We'll try, just we'll be having the basic look, the summarized look, and the strategy design pattern, right? And we'll go ahead. Okay. So I will try to make you explain this one in a more summarized way, so you'll be having some idea. Or maybe we can leave this one, it is not required from interview point of view. We have studied enough, 3 or 4 or 5 is sufficient if you can just tell it, right? Iterator design pattern. Okay, this iterator design pattern very useful. This iterator design pattern is very useful. We'll see this one tomorrow. Okay, iterator design pattern we will discuss. Whichever is important one we'll just discuss. Iterator design pattern. And prototype is again important. The prototype generally in the Python and all used very frequently here. Okay, this is all the prototype. Solid principle, we'll be having one uh, basic understanding what is the solid principle. It will not take more time. It is not, however, it is not important from interview point of view, but sometimes this can be one important question, because this is this is a kind of heart of object oriented programming. How means how a program should be developed in object oriented. So if a program you are going to develop in object oriented using the solid principle, your program is going to be robust. Your program is going to be very dynamic. Your program is going to be very reusable. All the object oriented functionality will be able to achieve if you're going to follow the solid principle. So this can be one good interview question. Okay. Okay, this is fine. So tomorrow we'll see all these stuff, the remaining one, and we'll try to you know uh it, I think it will not be possible tomorrow to complete, but let us see how much. So maybe one or two or three class maximum. And this one, the control framework, we are going to understand this flush and dispatch, very frequently asked question, very frequently. What is the use of flush? What is the use of dispatch? This comes under the control framework. So we are going to look into this one. Control framework, that's fine. Controls. Okay, so what I will do, unnecessary slides I will remove from here tomorrow before starting the class itself, which is not required, which is not very much required from the interview point of view, right? And that I will remove from here. Fine, then with this I'm going to stop our session over here. And if you are interested in you know I will highly recommend you to take participation in interview question and answer. It will improve your competency, it will improve your knowledge, and it is a wonderful platform where you can come and give the interview, take the interview. All right. So I will highly recommend, come over here, take the interview, give the interview. So let me do one thing. First, I will stop the recording.